Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is October 17th, 2023. Wow, what a big day. We had retail sales this morning, Bender, and the retail sales were A-okay, which is not okay with the dollar because the dollar was just like, ooh, we going ups. And the dollar went ups and then went up some more. And now it's trailing down and we can't get a bounce. Ouch. Ouch is what you got to say. All right, so we're smack in the middle of earnings season. We get Netflix and Tesla tomorrow. Everything is about setting the plate. Flow is across the board. I would say you would have to call it neutral with bets on both sides. There were moments in time yesterday to be like, "Ooh, we got bull," and they were like, "Ooh, we don't have bull." And then this morning we get a sell down into an area that I'm pretty sure you're going to talk about as being, well, this is a very interesting spot.
Indeed.
And you're going to say, this is very interesting from here as far as what is next. So, because I don't see a lot of data, well, we have data again 30 minutes after opening, and then China puts out their GDP tonight, I believe. It's like that pretty much summarizes it. Biden is in the Middle East. He will be there today, meeting with Israel and Jordan, and then what else do we have? I believe the House will be voting on Jim Jordan as far as him being speaker, and I'm sure there will be more fun and stupid headlines surrounding that. I ain't got anything else, man. You want to jump into these charts and tell us which way we're going to go so I know whether to buy long or short? That'd be great. Thanks so much.
Okay, I'll do my best. Let me get the, let's see, share my screen here. Okay. All right, so this is just a 15-minute regular trading hours only. Obviously, we have this gap back here that we left behind, and you can see where this line is that says REL, relative equal lows. If I switch to the electronic trading hours, that's where we're at. Just at the top of where that gap comes into play, right? And the reason I have relative equal lows there is because if you zoom in, say to like a 3-minute, I get back here, you can see where it put in this double bottom before making that move up. After it put in this double bottom, I was kind of looking for this to take this out before moving up, and it was unable to do so. And it made playing this move a little bit more difficult. Had it taken that out and then took out this candle's high, it would have been an easier play. But that's where we're at. We're back down to that level. Knocking on the door right now. So I would look when you said, I bet you're going to tell me this is an interesting level. Yeah, it is. It is interesting. It's right at the top of that gap. Maybe it takes that and pops back up. Maybe it fills that gap. And then we figure out what to do with it. But, if it can come down here and take this out, maybe overshoot a little bit and then pull back above, maybe that's the liquidity that it needs to make a move higher at some point later in the day or in the morning or whatever. And it looks like it just teasing it right here. There it goes. Just barely below. So obviously you can see we've got this 15-minute fair value gap that we left behind. The last 15-minute fair value gap. You can see we traded up into it. It acted as resistance and then made that move lower. So this is what we'll have to get through this morning to not have that same outcome. So as we trade back up into it, that's kind of, you got to be watching to go, okay, was this the goal again? This kind of action, or are we going to get through it? Well, at least the way the chart's set up right now, on a 15 minute. If we get through 43.93.25, if we get through that, then it would invalidate this sort of action, right? If we get above that and that can act as support, then it starts to look like, okay, now we shift, we go the other way. This is where I'd be watching for a reaction. Is it poke its head through and then pull back, or does it get that candle, a nice candle up and over that level, pulls back, uses that as support, and then 44.02 half becomes the next target, followed by 44.14.25. As far as downside goes, if we get through these relative equal lows and we can't reclaim, well, then we're looking at potentially filling in this gap, which goes down to 43.58.25. You do have that trend line, which was previously trend line resistance. A recheck of that, if it does decide to get down there, right about that same area, may provide a little bit of support. And there's still this gap down here that wasn't quite filled all the way. Zooming out a little bit, let's go to a 60-minute. So the midpoint of this down move, right? We crossed through that midpoint, broke over that trend line, and you can see the candle that resulted. The midpoint, 43.85.75. So at this point, a push back above that could see some acceleration to the upside. What else? There was something else I was going to point out about this. Oh, just that if we go back to the 15-minute, you can see this shaded box right in here. That's kind of the pivot point, right? You had this fair value gap right here, this 15-minute fair value gap that acted as resistance for a while. And you can see all the things that we broke through to make this move up, right? It gets through that fair value gap, gets through the midpoint of this move above that trend line, and then fire. This, if I extend this out, you can see all the crap that took place in here before leaving that fair value gap behind. If I extend it even further, this area was support right in here, a little bit further, and you can see that it was resistance. When it poked through, it took off, right? So this is an important zone right in here, control area that we're trading down into. And I think ultimately where we go from here depends on above or below this area right in here. You can see it acting as resistance again in here. Now we're trading down into it. So the bottom of that box, if I say, okay, there's a range in here, move this down to something sort of like that. I would say this range in here, 43.74 down to 43.68.75. That's what, about six handles, 7 handles, something like that. Let's go like that. I think that looks a little bit more accurate, 43.67. So I think this is the key kind of control area right in here. Get below that, this becomes resistance. Well, then just looking at this, it's like, okay, if it wants to get through that, then we're probably targeting this low, 43.54 half, fill in that gap, and then 43.40 half, this candle's low. So that's kind of how we're set up. It's kind of how we're looking coming into the day. Ultimately, Hells, I wish I could tell you whether or not to buy long or go short. Ultimately, I think that the setup that we have, bigger picture wise, is still to the upside, right? We had that market structure shift. Now we're filling back in. Doesn't mean that they won't, come back down a little bit lower, shake some more people out today. The question is always from where? From where do we make that next move? And remains to be seen. Right now, I would say that I think there's a decent chance that we hold in here. But as usual, I will be looking on tighter time frames for a hat tip, for a sign, and reminder that oftentimes, if we are going to make a move higher by the end of the week, oftentimes Tuesday marks the low of the week, kind of that Tuesday, Wednesday, right? But in a lot of when you look at the market, kind of the market structure that Mr. T puts out, not the structure, but the typical profiles, is what he calls them, the weekly market profiles. A lot of them that are bullish later in the week, they put in that low Tuesday, Wednesday. So we'll see. We'll see what they give us today, but that's kind of how we're set up. Make sense? Good.
I was expecting a little bit more. I wanted to know exactly what level to buy so then I can go take a nap.
Well, I mean, dude, you can push the buttons whenever you want.
No, but I wanted the Bender guarantee. Well, I guess I'm not going to get it. So
no, no. Just be ready. Like I know you're active with that reversal button. So, even if I give you a level, it's reverse.
Hey, man, got to be in it to win it.
That's
all
right.
Stonks. I don't think we got Sunny today. So Stonk, you mentioned yesterday at the end of the day something about a downside smashing burger. Did they start it off without you?
Right, man.
Stonkington, you're really quiet.
Oh man, why do I suck at this so bad? Anything better?
That's better.
All right.
That's better.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there we go. We got this. So we did not technically on the chart have a potential smash burger when it came to the close, with the exception of the IWM. So we will have an alert that pops in the room if this were to break. And but if we look over at the SPY, I mentioned at the end of the day, but technically the SPY is not a smash burger in play because SPY did not close above the prior day's high, almost, but we're already selling off pre-market. So from a definition standpoint, IWM was the only one, but yeah, we're already kind of moving down. Let's go through Sunny stuff first. There's a lot here. Tons of upgrades and downgrades this morning. FSLR downgrade, Halliburton upgrade, Amazon price target lower, UNH price target up, Moderna price target down, LRCX raised, ELF lowered, UPS lowered, Boeing lowered, McDonald's lowered, SPWR downgrade to a sell. There's tons of these this morning. Let's see, what else do we got? Are there any other good ones? Wayfair initiated at a hold. Let's see, Target. No, that's Target, price target, not the company. Spotify price target raised. I think that's it. There's a ton there. And then we've got headlines on NVIDIA, Biden cutting off NVIDIA chips to China, and we're selling over there. So I think that's kind of the majority of the headline type stuff. So let's get into some charts. Here we go. Let's look at the NASDAQ. All right, I've got us on a 4-hour right here. And the thing that's kind of my eye is drawn to is this gap, this purple box in between the orange one. which was a fair value gap that was this candle's low to this candle's high right there. And based on the fact that we had candles closing above it, Mr. T would potentially be calling this an inversion gap. We've got a little less than an hour to go on this candle, so be interested to see if they're going to close it below this level right here, this 15172, because this otherwise I would have been thinking of watching this area to work as support. If it doesn't, we've got the new week opening gap, and we've got this weekly gap that we've kind of been tracking. The bottom of it would be down there at that 15060.75. If we can kind of get going back up to the upside, we've got the top of this gap, which also lines up with the 0.5 fib of the big weekly gap. A couple other levels, we split the big weekly gap into quarters. So be watching above that 15282.75. But yeah, kind of interested to see, I was really wondering if this 4-hour gap would hold. We still got 50 minutes to see how that one plays out. So we'll see what we get over there. We looked at, IWM has the possible smash burger to the downside. Over here on the Russell, we've got below, we've got this weekly volume imbalance that we're inside of right now. We were talking about yesterday, TradingView added this 0.5 little line in there, so that's kind of what these other lines are. Below, we've got the new week opening gap, and then we've got this level on the daily where potentially there'd be a lot of stops down there, these relative equal lows from all the way over there. So I'd be wondering if they wanted to stop out those bulls who would be leaving a breakout even stop and then potentially push it back up from there. So we'll see if we get to that. If we could go to the upside, we've got this daily fair value gap that would fill right here, this 1773.40, and then above, again, we've got 1776.60, which is just a key level we've been looking at for the past couple of weeks on the Russell. If we jump over to some individual tickers, we had daily inside bars on AMD. Let's see here. So I've been kind of looking at this uptrend line, which it looks like it has lost. So if we're already below, usually what I would do in this situation, if we were already below a put trigger, I would make an adjustment down to probably looks like key level right there. And then we could use this dark pool that came in last night as a call trigger. So want to see if we keep pulling back what happens down at 103.05 and looking at that 106.46 above on AMD. This could be, if we get some momentum, we're losing this uptrend. So we'll see what we get over there. And then Meta. Let's take a look at Meta. All right, so Meta's sitting on this dark pool. That was going to be the put trigger there, that 318.60. Up. So we lose that, next stop below potentially be looking for, looks like there's something down there at that 312.40. We've had, resistance, support, so we'll be interested to see what they do at that level. But if we start moving to the upside, I'm going to be looking at this 321.75. We've got some reactions up there as well on Meta. Other than that, just going to see what we get in the flow and kind of take it from there. That's it for me.
Very nice. So not a whole lot of really anything other than we have some levels that may or may not be viable. Again, we're in the middle of, I don't say the middle, but at the tip off or the kickoff of earnings season. So paying attention to flow moving forward, out to that November and December area is probably going to be fairly important and give the right signs, if you will, as far as how to approach certain tickers and the market in general. A quick and efficient show, guys. We have about 19 minutes until open. 19 minutes until open. You guys have anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, very good. See you soon.
Do we want to take a real quick peek at the dollar?
Sure. The dollar went throttle off of the headline, right? And it looks like it pulled back and we did not go up. And now it looks like it could be flagging here on the 5-minute, right?
Yeah, let's take a quick look at what we've got here. This is a 60-minute. Get the big picture on where it's at, what we're doing here. Get this 60-minute fair value gap, traded down into the bottom of it, and then got its bounce. If I look at 15-minute, got some stops here. I could see it potentially taking some of this stuff out, but for now, this bounce, take these stops out. Look at 5-minute, yes, looks like a flag. And at this point, 5-minute fair value gap, I would say below that candle's low. Potentially see some more downside. Would have to take out 106.10. If it does, that's where I would be looking at a potential for, take it out. Maybe it gets that market structure shift and pushes back up. If this becomes resistance, then all is gravy. And on the flip side, 106.52 becomes support. That candle's high. The high's right in here. I mean, this is all kind of lines up, pretty evenly right in here with a little poke above. But I would say this area becomes support. Look out.
Benda says, look out.
If. There's always the if stipulation.
Nice. I like absolutes. All right, very good. 16 minutes until opened? We'll see you guys soon.
All right. See you shortly.
See ya.